Have you ever wondered how fragile human civilization really is? Entire cities, empires, and cultures have been wiped out not by wars or politics, but by nature itself. Earthquakes that split the ground beneath people's feet, floods that swallowed entire nations, and storms so powerful they left nothing standing. Today, we're diving into the top 5 deadliest natural disasters in history, events that remind us just how small we are against the forces of the earth. Welcome to 5 Things and Facts. If you love strange facts and mysteries, hit that like button and subscribe. Now let's begin our countdown. 5. The Tangshan Earthquake, 1976, China. In the early hours of July 28, 1976, the city of Tangshan, China, was shaken by one of the deadliest earthquakes in recorded history. At 3:42 in the morning, while most people were still asleep, the ground ripped open with a magnitude of 7.5, unleashing unimaginable destruction. Within seconds, nearly the entire city was reduced to rubble. Buildings collapsed like stacks of cards, crushing thousands of families in their homes. Roads cracked, bridges fell, and power lines snapped, plunging Tangshan into chaos. The official death toll announced by the Chinese government was around 242,000 people. But many historians and survivors believe the real number could have been much higher, closer to 600,000. This uncertainty adds an eerie layer of mystery to the tragedy. One of the most haunting details: Tangshan was considered an earthquake-free zone. Experts at the time believed the region was safe, which meant the city wasn't prepared at all. No earthquake-resistant buildings, no drills, no warning systems. When the ground shook, people had no chance. The quake was followed by a massive aftershock just 15 hours later, almost as powerful as the first, hitting survivors while they were still trapped, injured and searching for loved ones. Among the ruins, there were stories of miraculous survival. Entire families trapped under collapsed houses for days, pulled out alive. In one case, a baby was found alive after being buried for more than a week, shielded by the body of their mother. The Tangshan earthquake was not just a disaster, it was a turning point. It forced China to rethink its approach to disaster preparedness, leading to modern seismic research and construction codes. But for the people of Tangshan, the scars remain, both in the land and in memory. 4. The Bola cyclone, 1970, East Pakistan, now Bangladesh. On the night of November 12, 1970, one of the most devastating storms in human history struck the Bay of Bengal. Known as the Bola cyclone, it tore into the low-lying lands of East Pakistan, what we know today as Bangladesh, with wind speeds of 185 kilometers per hour, 115 mph, and storm surges rising over 10 meters, 33 feet. The cyclone didn't just hit the coast, it drowned it. Entire islands disappeared beneath the waves, and villages were swallowed whole. The estimated death toll: somewhere between 300,000 and 500,000 people. Imagine that. Nearly 500,000 lives lost in a single storm. Why so many? Geography and poverty. The Bay of Bengal's funnel shape makes storm surges far more destructive, pushing water deep inland. Add to that the fact that most people lived in simple huts, often just a few feet above sea level, and there was almost no chance of survival. But what made this disaster even deadlier was the lack of warning systems. Radios and communication lines were sparse, so when the storm approached, most people didn't even know it was coming. By the time the waves rose, it was too late to flee. The aftermath was equally tragic. Survivors faced starvation, disease, and political neglect. Relief efforts were slow, and the government of Pakistan was criticized for its poor response. Many historians argue that the cyclone actually fueled political unrest in East Pakistan, eventually contributing to the Bangladesh Liberation War just a year later. A unique detail: amid the devastation, entire herds of livestock were wiped out, destroying not just human lives but also the main source of food and income. Some villages lost every single cow, goat, and chicken, plunging survivors into long-term poverty. The Bola cyclone is remembered not just for its shocking death toll, but as a wake-up call. It inspired the creation of better cyclone shelters, warning systems, and disaster management in Bangladesh, which, despite being one of the most disaster-prone countries, now saves millions of lives thanks to lessons learned from that terrible night. 3. The 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami, December 26th, 2004. It was the morning after Christmas, and across the Indian Ocean, people were enjoying a normal day at the beach, fishing or relaxing with their families. Then, without warning, the ocean pulled back. What followed was one of the most terrifying natural disasters of the modern age. A magnitude 9.1 earthquake off the coast of Sumatra triggered a massive tsunami, sending walls of water racing across the Indian Ocean. Some waves reached 30 meters high, as tall as a 10-story building. The tsunami struck 14 countries, including Indonesia, Sri Lanka, India, and Thailand, and even reached the coast of Africa. Over 230,000 people lost their lives in just a few hours. What made the tsunami especially deadly was the lack of an early warning system in the Indian Ocean at the time. Unlike the Pacific, where tsunamis are more common, the Indian Ocean had no coordinated monitoring network. So when the earthquake hit, coastal populations had no idea that a giant wave was on its way. Tourists and locals alike were caught off guard. Many mistook the receding water as something curious and harmless, only to be swept away minutes later when the waves returned with unimaginable force. One haunting image from the disaster is of entire trains swept off their tracks in Sri Lanka, with passengers trapped inside as the ocean swallowed them. In Thailand, famous beach resorts were destroyed in minutes, and amateur videos captured the terrifying moment when the waves came crashing in. But amid the tragedy, there were also incredible stories of survival. In one case, a 10-year-old British girl named Tilly Smith saved dozens of lives in Phuket after recognizing the signs of a tsunami from a school geography lesson. She convinced people to leave the beach, and minutes later, the waves struck. The disaster prompted the rapid creation of the Indian Ocean Tsunami Warning System, which now monitors seismic activity and can issue alerts within minutes. It also brought global awareness to the importance of disaster education. The knowledge of one child literally saved lives. If you're enjoying the video, leave a like. The Indian Ocean tsunami stands as a chilling reminder of how quickly normal life can turn into chaos and how important preparation and knowledge truly are. 2. The 1556 Shanxi earthquake, China. Long before seismographs or satellites, one of the most catastrophic earthquakes in human history struck the heart of China. On the morning of January 23, 1556, the Shanxi province was shaken by a quake estimated at magnitude 8.0. The death toll, around 830,000 people, making it the deadliest earthquake ever recorded. How could one quake kill nearly 1 million people? The answer lies in the unique way people lived at the time. In this region, it was common for families to live in yaodongs, homes carved directly into the soft Loess cliffs. While they were cool in summer and warm in winter, they were also dangerously unstable during seismic activity. When the earthquake hit, entire hillsides collapsed, burying thousands of people inside their homes. Reports from the time describe mountains shifting, rivers changing course, and fissures opening in the ground. Entire villages disappeared in seconds. One chilling account says that the mountains and rivers changed places, and roads vanished. Another describes people suddenly finding themselves standing on flat plains where valleys once were. For many survivors, it must have felt like the very world was collapsing. What makes the Shanxi earthquake especially fascinating is how it shaped culture. Records from the Ming dynasty describe not only the destruction, but also how the event was interpreted as a heavenly punishment or omen. Natural disasters were often linked to the emperor's mandate of heaven, so this quake had massive political and spiritual consequences. And while modern science has advanced far beyond those beliefs, the event remains a sobering reminder. Nature can erase nearly 1 million lives in minutes, even without the weapons of war. 1. The 1931 China floods. Finally, at number 1, we reach the deadliest natural disaster in human history, the 1931 China floods. Between July and November 1931, the Yangtze, Huai, and Yellow rivers overflowed on a massive scale after months of torrential rain, snowmelt, and multiple typhoons. What followed was an apocalyptic flood that swallowed central China. The estimated death toll ranges from 1 to 4 million people, a number so high it's almost beyond comprehension. Why so devastating? First, the sheer size of the flood. At Adi, its peak, the Yangtze River swelled to more than 70 kilometers wide in some areas. Entire cities were submerged. Imagine looking out and seeing nothing but water where neighborhoods and farmland once stood. Second, the long-lasting effects. Many victims didn't die directly in the floodwaters, but in the months that followed from starvation, exposure, and disease. With crops destroyed and millions displaced, famine spread rapidly. Cholera and typhoid outbreaks killed countless more. Eyewitness accounts describe boats floating over rooftops and survivors clinging to trees for days without food. Some villages were entirely erased, leaving no trace they had ever existed. Another chilling detail. Survivors reported that wild animals, also displaced by the flood, attacked refugee camps. Snakes, driven from their natural habitats, invaded shelters and bit those seeking refuge. The Chinese government at the time struggled to respond. Relief efforts were slow, and political instability only worsened the suffering, but the floods also sparked major changes in how China approached water management, dam construction, and disaster response. Even today, the 1931 floods serve as a warning of the catastrophic potential when nature's fury collides with human vulnerability. From earthquakes that leveled cities to floods that drowned entire regions, these disasters remind us of one undeniable truth. For all our technology and progress, we are still at the mercy of nature's power, but they also remind us of resilience, of survivors who rebuilt, of lessons learned, and of knowledge passed down to protect future generations. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing top 5s. And here's one last curiosity. Did you know that the Yellow River, often called China's sorrow, has changed its course more than 1,500 times in history? Sometimes nature doesn't just take lives, it redraws the very map of the world. Stay curious, and until next time, keep exploring the mysteries of our planet.